right, we're gonna start on time.
Yeah, no hockey fights.
Yet. I mean,
Yeah, you never know.
you never know. I mean,
Should we save this for Ben?
yeah, we save it for Ben,
Okay.
and then when he shows up, we can just pull it away from him.
Yeah, I like that. I like that.
So, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, welcome to AwesomeMania, the pro wrestling fan panel. Normally I would insert a number there, but we forgot what number we are at this point now. Woo! As I was mentioning earlier, my name is Michael. I am 1/3 of the podcast AwesomeMania that I do with Ben Taylor and Matt Carroll, where we do, nowadays we do watch-alongs on Peacock, where we watch old school WWE pay-per-views and WCW and now ECW as well, because we're working on 1997 right now.
Ooh.
Yes. And we just shoot the breeze and have fun doing it. It's essentially just friends watching wrestling and recording it.
That's cool.
So, that's me. This fine gentleman right here is a cosplay guest here for the con, former professional wrestler. Former professional wrestler and costumer.
Yeah.
Mr. Mikal Mosley. And this guy right here, showing right up. I told you if we started, he'd show up.
That's it.
He is the man behind Twin Cities Con. And are you still doing that Nerd Street Wrestling thing?
I'll eventually look at that.
Okay, and he does this thing called.
What's up, man? Good to see you.
What's up, man?
And he does this thing called Nerd Street Pro Wrestling. Mr. Ben Penrod. So, one of the big things about this panel is that this is not about us on the panel. It's about you guys and what you guys want to talk about. So, the floor is always open. But first, I guess we got to just talk about it. Like, how are we all feeling about Sami Zayn?
Alright, I gotta give my disclaimer first. I still do work for some WWE wrestlers, so please don't ask me anything that's gonna get me fired.
Yeah, no stupid questions.
I think Sami Zayn, I'm just happy that he's finally getting noticed for how great he is. He's remarkable, not just in the ring, but on the microphone. The way he's able to elevate anyone he's in the ring with. Don't get me wrong, I think that what they were doing already with Reigns and the Usos was brilliant, but now you added Sami Zayn and you just took it to a whole new level.
I mean, he's making him literally break character.
Yes.
It's like watching SNL. It's like watching SNL, like you know how the best SNL skits are the ones where everybody starts laughing.
Yeah.
This is something we actually talked about a few weeks ago on the phone. Yeah.
Yeah, and actually, and you and I were talking about this on the car ride from the airport about like the titles on Reigns. And, I mentioned like one idea is like you do the triple threat thing, so Reigns lose one title, but without getting pinned, so you keep him looking strong. But there's something else that we didn't talk about, and I held off on purpose for the panel, and that's about this thing where everyone wants to see, apparently the booking idea is to have Sami and Kevin Owens go for the tag team titles. And I think that's a mistake. Because that the moment that the bloodline turns on Sami, you have to strap that rocket ship to his back.
Yeah.
And I think the team that should take the titles off of the Usos that actually can create that friction to lead to Sami going for the main title is the team of Kevin Owens. And I'm doing this for Ben Taylor, but Jonathan Q Wrestling Gargano,
Oh, okay.
aka Team Panda. They take the titles off, so KO and Gargano take the titles off of the Usos. And because KO and Zayn are friends, it causes the friction even more, and then it can lead into the actual betrayal, and then Sami going after the title from Reigns. So I think that would probably be a better chase than Sami taking the tag titles of Kevin Owens, because that's the thing that everyone's been like going, oh, we got to see him take the tag titles. I think that would be the mistake. He has to go for the main title.
Yeah, I agree with that. The only thing I would disagree with is who I want to see take it. I think because the Usos are so high right now, they're the pinnacle of tag team wrestling in WWE. I think that it would be a wise move to put it on a young team that's up and coming and help develop that young team. Don't put it on right away, put them in a program. You have a lot of fantastic people coming out of NXT that are going to get called up. That would be great. Yeah, absolutely. Exactly. I just forgot the name of the two brothers where the
Creed brothers.
Creed brothers. Creed brothers would be fantastic. Bring them up, let them work with the Usos, let the Usos show them, teach them. I mean, they are fantastic. The Usos are another one of those teams where, in the ring, it doesn't matter who they're in the ring with, they make them look great.
Yeah.
And build up your next generation.
And it's rare in WWE that the tag titles mean something.
Yeah.
And so you just shouldn't waste that. Yeah, it's they should really get what they can out of it. But I also think the original plan was probably they'll have the Kevin and Sammy thing, but what they've got right now is so much bigger.
They're literally pushing the Kevin Owens stuff back on purpose because of how hot.
They might have to just bring him in a different capacity and scrap that because I mean they can go back to Kevin and Sammy anytime, but what Sammy's doing right now is all time Hall of Fame run stuff that they're gonna be talking about forever, and they shouldn't waste that.
Yeah, I agree. I think especially because of how hot Sammy is right now. I think it would be a huge mistake. In general, I don't think they should break the bloodline up in their current form at all, in general.
They should keep it going.
Period.
In honesty, I think they should do, if they were to actually have the bloodline break away from Sammy, it would have to be after Mania. Because you already know that they want to do Rock Reigns. Like, that's the one thing that they really want to do, and they got to figure out how they're going to get one of the titles off of Reigns because they want to have the other title defended on the other night. So you're also kind of like, and this was also the other thing we were talking about yesterday was, like you disagree with the Austin Theory thing. But the thing is that Triple H is also kind of having to work with what he was kind of shoehorned in a way when Vince was still running the show. And you can see that, like, because, like, remember when Otis had Money in the Bank? And everyone was like, we don't know where this is going, if it's going to go anywhere. And I think when...
Went nowhere.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, Miz took it and then he became champion and lost it to Bobby Lashley. But the thing is, though, is that, like, you kind of look at it with Austin Theory, he kind of got put in the same boat because of the transition, and not only that, but if they had gone with the idea of him holding it a full year, well, Hunter is getting rid of the gimmick-themed pay-per-views, so there's no more Hell in a Cell pay-per-view, there's no more Money in the Bank pay-per-view. You probably have a King of the Ring where they did it back like in the 80s and 90s where the entire pay-per-view was based on just the King of the Ring tournament. Like that'll be like your one like real gimmick one. So like he wants to put Money in the Bank back at WrestleMania where in a way it should be at. So it's like you kind of get put in the shoehorn position with Austin going, how do we get this off of him without making him look bad at the same time? And that's why you have Bobby Lashley coming on Monday night and interrupt everything.
But that's almost the opposite of what happened because it made him look bad. And I think that when you're looking at in the 90s, for you guys who are fans of wrestling from the 90s, one of the things that made wrestling so amazing was anyone could win at any time. You had Rey Mysterio who was going over on Eddie Guerrero, who was a huge star at the time, and it didn't matter. D'Lo Brown, Shelton Benjamin taking out Triple H, who was a huge star at the time. It was anybody at any time could win. And that's one of the things that made it so fascinating. So the titles then had a little bit more of a meaning because they all were prestigious. So in the realm of professional wrestling, in the universe of wrestling, if I am a wrestler and I go, hey, my goal is to be the champion. I want to be the champion because in the realm of the universe of wrestling, that means more money, more exposure. If you're Ric Flair, more women, more airplanes, whatever it is. And I have an opportunity to go for any title. Why would I not go for the heavyweight title? And
That's so weird.
And I think that the best thing that they could have done is 100% like let Roman Reigns be in the middle of some crazy match. He goes to wins or whatever. Let Austin Theory come cash it in, and then let the Bloodline do what the Bloodline does, and beat the tar.
And I think that's make him win by disqualification. That would be so hilarious.
So he wins.
By disqualification.
But you don't get the title.
That was your match.
Right. Yeah. But the thing is, and I think the interesting thing is that I think that was something that was actually contemplated around SummerSlam time.
Right.
Because that was obviously the first pay-per-view event that Hunter took over, and I think that they're kind of hinting that that's what they wanted to do, but instead Brock Lesnar came out and said, "Yeah, you ain't cashing in that briefcase." So I think that ultimately at the end of the day, I think they just got, and not only that, but would you want to put the Austin Theory thing into with the Bloodline with Sami Zayn right now? Like, because that's kind of the other thing. So like you're kind of shoehorned into this really weird position with that.
I think you have to think about the future of it though as well. Right now, one of the things that some wrestling brands do incredibly well is they develop the next generation. And I think when you're talking about someone like Austin Theory, who is arguably going to be a mega star in the next few years, because
Do you think he's the next Cena?
no, not definitely not John Cena, but I think that The Miz was never supposed to be The Miz.
Yeah.
But he took it and he ran, and I see an Austin Theory as a Miz. I think he's someone who will be there consistently. He may not always hold a title or be in the title picture, but he will always be there. And I think that you have a chance to build this next generation, and the worst thing you can do is give them an opportunity to shine and then dog them out. Because once you have shot them down, it's harder for us as fans to get behind them when you try to build them again.
Right.
That's why Drew had to leave.
Well, I mean, I think one argument that could be made was Hunter, curtain call. Like, he got buried for like a good year after the curtain call. And he had to like kind of work his way back up. So his character was taking a lot of damage because of that. And he, luckily he got
But he's real smart and he understands the game, and he used that time very wisely. And I don't think he actually was buried. He wasn't given opportunities.
Well, he was buried on television.
He was
maybe
kind of
not
buried.
backstage.
But I'm saying he was buried on television, but he just wasn't given opportunities. He was still having lots of TV time.
Strong,
He still had lots of TV time. He might not have been winning matches, but he was having good matches, and it probably, if he looks back, he probably, as a wrestler, would say he developed a lot in that time because he didn't have to worry about his spot. His spot was where it was, and he was able to just get better.
Yeah.
And he still had it wasn't that long before they were doing DX and he was back on top of the world. It wasn't that. He was. Yeah, he was fine. The only thing that happened was that Stone Cold got the King of the Ring instead of which ended up making Triple H way more money in the long run. Because if Triple H had gotten it, nothing would have happened from that.
Yeah, but that's the thing though. Like I think Hunter's probably in Austin's ear a little bit about that. Like saying like, hey, don't worry about this loss. Because he probably has another plan for him, and he's probably trying to shift him out of where Vince was trying to take him and trying to put him in a different direction.
Not to speculate on it, but Hunter he's brilliant. He's brilliant, and
you've been to enough NXT shows.
He's super nice guy.
Watched it,
Very big guy too in real life. Very big guy. One of your people I've ever been intimidated stand next to. He is massive.
He's like what, 6'4"?
I don't know, but he's massive. Just size myself and one of my buddies in the audience, we went did some stuff at WrestleMania, and we heard this motorcycle revving up. So we walked in the back because we were like, who's revving up this motorcycle? And I don't know if it's just because of the lighting or what, but am I wrong? Did he not look like a Greek god? He's massive.
He didn't make the motorcycle look big either, and it was a V8 motorcycle. Like, it's supposed to look massive, and he's sitting on it. He's like, no, that's normal. That's just a giant human being on a giant.
But I did think Hunter he's smart. He understands, and I agree with you. I think he is having to work within the confines of some of the stuff that he was given. I just think it would be it'd be a pity to see someone like Awesome Theory get to a point where he's no longer able to bring because he already it was kind of because he was doing a gimmick that was already kind of done recently with the cell phone, right? So he was already he had just come off the Gargano bit, and even in that group, he was almost just there, not really getting a chance.
I mean, you can kind of thank Dexter Lumis for that one.
But
he also got over.
But now it's a time. Now he's getting to the point where he's finally broken through those walls, and now it's like, okay, we hear your music, and we're not going, oh, bathroom break. We're going, yo, this is Austin Theory. This is great. And then he's being,
kind of curb and jerked a little bit. Yeah. I mean, I can see that.
Which I love Austin Theory. If you ever need to hear from.
Any comments or anything from anyone?
Anything on Bray Wyatt?
Bray works with that horror movie guy.
I love Bray.
I love this iteration of Bray, and I agree with certain comments of keep the Fiend out of it. Because once the Fiend comes in, you kind of put yourself in a really tough spot with booking. Just ask Seth Rollins. He talked about it
Oh,
recently.
God.
I've been planning a con. I have not watched a lot of SmackDown lately.
Okay, that's right.
He's back.
I heard he's back.
Hey,
I didn't get a chance to go and watch it either. I was at New York Comic
It
Con
was
when he came back.
brilliant. Oh, it was brilliant.
I heard it was so good. I was like, I gotta watch this, and then
Well, Mike Jones was actually there in Philly when he came back.
it's awesome.
Yeah,
I feel like
because
Bray,
that was the week when AEW was in DC.
Yeah.
So
I feel like Bray is like watching a good scary movie that comes out every couple of years, and you already know what the ending is going to be, but you're still so hyped because it's still so fantastic.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's Bray Wyatt for me. It doesn't matter what he's done so far. I mean, I'll even go back to say it, and I know I get a lot of heat for this. I loved Husky Harris, right? Was it? Tank body Ferrari engine or something like that? So, but I think that Bray is one of those guys that has this uncanny way of connecting with us, especially with our society the way that it is and how obsessed we are with fear and the unknown. He's found a way to connect to it. I will say, I will be very disappointed if I don't see a Bo Dallas.
I was just reading
I
this
think-
morning that apparently two people that Bray wants back is Bo Dallas, which is the rumored Uncle Howdy,
Right? I'm not going
and
wrong.
Eric Rowan.
Yep.
That makes sense.
I would love, like, there is so much untapped potential in Eric Rowan, and there is, unfortunately, he passed away, but there is so much untapped potential in Brody Lee.
Yeah.
So much untapped potential.
Well, it's hard too because we're also going to a new age of wrestling in a sense. When I was training, it wasn't okay for the big guys to do cool spots because the statement that was made to me consistently is, well, why would you? You know, if you're already towering over everybody,
Yeah.
why do you need to do the moonsault? If you're already towering over everybody, why do you need to ever leave your feet? But now we're in this new age of wrestling.
The Undertaker
where-
would like to have a conversation
Yeah.
with you real quick.
Well, I
here.
mean, we can never say anything with Taker. Taker has his own set of rules, which as he should, he deserves. But now that I love seeing some of the bigger guys now doing the crazy spots, as long as they make sense. But I wonder what would happen if we did have a Brody Lee where the limits were off and he was allowed to do
Really let loose.
right, let loose,
Yeah.
right? Same thing with, I mean, look at Big E. This man can do a split in the middle of the ring, but how long did it take before we could see how athletic Big E could truly be?
Yeah.
Right? It was, we had to go past the powder clap and 5 count Big E to get to, you know,
New Day.
New Day Big E,
Yeah.
right? So,
And well, even then, we had to get through the preachy choir style of New Day to get to the New Day Rocks, you know. So
that's great.
yeah, I remember those
Yeah.
vignettes.
Oh yeah, the all blue, the light blue suits.
Yeah.
That's great.
Yeah, that's. I think New Day versus Usos tonight for the tag titles on SmackDown.
Yeah.
So that's tonight.
Is that tonight? Oh.
Yep.
What? First time ever.
Yeah.
Right.
And they use this for the titles.
Yeah,
First
but I
time
think-
ever.
Although that was the bamboo cage match that they had that one time. What was it?
Was it the Punjabi prison? Did they do that? Or
What,
is it something
what,
else?
what was it? They had like this random.
They've had them.
I think.
I don't know. I just remember it being amazing.
I saw them do a street.
I remember the
fight.
Hell in a Cell.
Yeah.
Was it?
They did Hell in a Cell. That
Maybe
was,
that's what they
that
had.
was intense.
Nintendo
that was
6, right?
so
Yeah,
intense.
that's what
So
it
real
was.
quick, Luigi had a question. What's up, bud?
Yeah, okay, so I honestly haven't watched WWE in like a month or so, but have they given Matt Riddle a push, or like what?
Oh,
what's,
He's-
what's the whole debate?
Riddle is in a weird spot right now because you could tell he's lost without Randy Orton.
Yeah.
Okay.
Randy Orton going down with the injury back in May, you know, they had the thing where he pushed Roman for a little bit, lost the title match, and lost the ability to go after the titles. He's just kind of there playing foil to certain things right now.
Yeah.
And it's just because, you know, I think it's because they have big plans for him with Randy, and so they're hoping that Randy's back in time for maybe Mania season, because that's the thing that they really want to do.
I wish Riddle would develop a little more of his character.
Yeah.
Right now, the bro, kick off my shoes, do some MMA stuff. Okay, that's cool, but like you're not on the indie scene anymore. You're in the big leagues, and you have to find a way to connect with the people. And that's in general with any form of entertainment and that's ever out there. The reason why we love a character is because we find something that connects with that character. Well, in the world of wrestling, your job should be to try to connect with as many people as you can. And right now, I don't see a lot of people connecting with him. And I think the reason they connected with him beforehand was because of Randy. We like Randy, so we like you by default.
Yeah, and I think that was the, and I think that,
Yeah,
and I think that's one of the biggest things with Randy is that like, Randy was maybe, what they're trying to do with Randy and Riddle, like apparently they weren't supposed to be together that long. They're only supposed to be together for like a month or two, and then Randy was supposed to turn on him, but it just blew up.
Yeah.
Kind of like the standings
It just
thing.
worked.
Yeah, it just worked, so they wanted to extend it longer, and I think, you know, I guarantee you that like, if Randy didn't get hurt and they had done the turn and stuff like that, like now, I think we probably would be seeing a different side of Riddle, but the problem is that because you have this incomplete story, you can't you can't get him to where you want him, and you're kind of like throwing him around, seeing what, like you're like throwing darts at the board and seeing what stick at this point.
Well, let me ask you this. Can you see in the world, a face of Seth Rollins? Could Seth Rollins be face?
Yeah.
Could Seth Rollins be heel?
Yeah.
Could Riddle be face? Could Riddle be heel? And that's the problem that I have. You see what I'm
You
saying?
can't see him, you can see him as a face, but you
I
can't see him as a heel. Yeah.
And,
Me neither.
and
Right?
here's the-
And I think that's part of
And that's the real
problem.
character work comes in being a heel, but like, regardless of how I feel about Riddle as a person, his character that they've given him is just so one-dimensional, and he has all this potential. I don't know that he necessarily, he might have a ceiling on his own as far as, you know, mid-card WWE might be the most he can connect with the crowd. I don't know that, you know, but I've also seen, you know, he can wrestle for real.
Yeah, he's fantastic.
He's amazing. He's, you know, if they sent him out there to just be a serious character, he still might not get over, but he could do that. He could do that just as well as he could do what he's doing now. And I've seen him do some really interesting matches, like in NXT one time. They did. I used to go to all the NXT tapings in Orlando. I lived in Orlando, and so they had a match. I think it was him and Cesar Bononi. I don't know. And they just came out and they did this like blood sport style match with the ropes and everything. But like, you never see that shit in WWE. That was so cool, and it was just very different, and it felt different. And I think they let Ty Conti do that one time too, where because she can really wrestle, but she's always doing like a WWE diva style match because she's hot. But like, she can really wrestle too if they let her. But and then with Riddle, you know, he can do some really interesting things, but I don't know if his character, if his ability to do a more interesting character is there.
Well, it's interesting that you say that because you're talking about like how his character is one-dimensional. Like from a lot of people, they say that's just how he is. And that could be the problem is that he's literally just being him, and what we're seeing is just what it is. And that's probably where like putting it with Randy is like a way of going like, hey, we need you to teach you how to be more three-dimensional rather than your one-dimensional self.
And Randy's character is like six-dimensional.
Oh my goodness. You never know what you're gonna get. Do I like you or are you gonna kick me in the head today? I don't know.
Which one is it?
In the same sense, right? This is gonna totally contradict everything we just said. The same arguments that we're talking about with Riddle are the same exact things that we were saying about Cesaro years ago, right?
Yeah.
And it took a while before Cesaro finally truly won everyone over with his abilities.
You know, that actually, on that one, there's one person that, you know, and I'm actually gonna shift to AEW on this one. There's one person in AEW that I wasn't sold on, and they're a guest here this weekend, and that's Britt Baker.
Really?
So, if you actually think about it, and when they first started doing TVs and stuff like that, they kind of Roman Reigns her a little bit. Because going into Full Gear 2019 in Baltimore, they were only showing promos for her, and nobody knew her opponent. Do you know who her opponent was at Full Gear 2019? None of you will know because they didn't show any single promo from that wrestler until the day of the pay-per-view on social media. It was B. Priestley, who's now Blair Davenport in NXT.
I do remember.
So it was like going into that, and it's like, so for a while, Britt was the person that they were really throwing down your throats in a way as like the person who was gonna take the title and stuff like that and be the face of the women's division. I was like, I just wasn't buying it. And then it wasn't until like maybe during the pandemic when I really started seeing more out of Britt that made me go, she can go.
See,
You know?
I was the opposite. I don't know what it was, but from the moment even everything about Brit, you know, and I think the fact that she was this new age Isaac Yankum done with this modern twist, but
Well, that was
in
kind
reality,
of, that
you
was
know,
what was bothering me a little bit too in the beginning too, at the
Again,
beginning.
stop talking about it. But I mean, it's legit though.
yeah, I think she's fantastic.
But
You've been only a wrestler for so long, right?
But the thing is,
I mean, that is till you're 70.
But the thing is, though, is that like what she's doing now is so much better than what she was doing in the beginning. And that's
Yeah.
why, like I said,
Yeah.
People that we buy into now, like Britt is one of those people that I buy into now that I didn't buy into before.
Yeah.
There's always those people.
Yeah.
So, you sir, you had your hand. Oh, you're just fixing the hat.
Yeah.
Survivor Series War Games.
It's gonna be awesome.
I'm excited about that. That's very much that's a Triple H thing,
Yeah.
for sure.
Yo, I can't wait for
He's
that.
gotta be mad that he can't be in it.
Do you know what I miss?
Ooh, that's true. He probably is mad he can't be in it.
I miss the WCW multiple rings kind of gimmick.
A War
Oh,
Game.
you mean the one
Yeah.
where they had like the 3 rings?
3 rings, yeah.
Oh, yeah. The Battle Royal.
The fall brawl.
Yeah,
Wasn't that
so
I've rewatched those relatively recently. They sucked, but they sucked to rewatch. But if you're watching them live,
yeah.
it's so exciting because you're just like, what's going on? There's so much going on. Like go back to that screen, go back to that ring, whatever. Like it is a very exciting, and it's like you wake up that morning, you're like, oh my god, this is happening
Yeah.
tonight.
Was it Bash at the Beach, the one where they built the ring over the
Oh, you mean that like that 3 ring?
No, it was
They
just
had
one
like a-
ring, but it's like it was surrounded by water the whole time.
They had
so,
like a moat.
yeah.
That was like Panama City, or was
Yes.
that?
I don't know.
Or was it in?
I know that they did some
I just
nitros.
remember-
I know they did some nitros that way.
I just remember
They
watching
got
it
right in the middle of
and,
that pool.
Well, the
Yeah.
last Nitro is in Panama City next to a pool.
Yeah.
so I just remember watching it the
I
whole
mean, they did
show,
road rage where they literally were just in front of a bunch of bikers in the heat.
which is great.
Yeah.
I like that kind of weird gimmicky stuff though.
Yeah, the wrestlers didn't like it. I remember talking to Kevin Nash about it. He was like, I hated that so much, but the payday was nice.
Yeah.
I hated bumping in that ring. Like he said, like when they did those shows in South Dakota for like the biker fest thing, they did Sturgis. They did everything to avoid bumping in those matches because the ring was like 120
Yeah.
degrees. So
Oh,
yeah,
God.
you had your hand up.
What's your take on this whole rivalry between Jey Uso and Sami Zayn?
Brilliant.
I love
It's
it.
like-
I love
it's
it because
amazing.
it's so much different than what you would expect to see in a wrestling storyline, which is, wrestling storylines can be very predictable sometimes. So it's like a wrinkle. It's just this little wrinkle in a storyline, and you're like, nobody knows where it's going to go. It could end up being nothing.
Absolutely.
It could end up blowing up their whole thing. It's such a cool little wrinkle, and everybody's friend groups, it mirrors reality. Everybody's friend groups got like 2 people who like they kind of don't really like each other, like maybe.
And not only that, but like you can feel it too, because like when Roman Reigns was like, "Oh, you're not gonna wear a Bloodline shirt
Yeah.
anymore," and like he was like, take it off, and then Jay comes in and just rips the shirt off.
Yes.
You could feel that emotion, that tension, and then he goes, "You're an honorary." So tossing the shirt is like, and then you see the look on Jay's face of disappointment, the look on Sammy's face of
They're
excitement,
both so good.
and it's just like they work so well together. Yes.
2 more questions. What's your take on that whole betrayal of father versus son?
Oh, Ray
The
versus Dom.
Mysterios.
I think they kind of had to do because
They had it.
I'm over it.
So-
I mean, I think they gotta let Dominic
They
be
need him to
his
do
own
something.
wrestler and just grow into it.
I wish instead of doing that, I wish they would just split them off different brands and let Dominic grow to be who he is, and then bring it to a situation where start off at like maybe Royal Rumble and they're in the ring, and then Dominic eliminates Ray, or Ray eliminates Dominic, something like that, and then let the kind of build.
And I think part of the problem is that, because it's gonna be kind of put out there that like when Ray signed this recent deal, part of the conditions is that Dominic was to be signed as well, and that they were supposed to be together almost the entire time until Ray was ready to retire and hand the mask over to Dominic. And I think, you know, I think they just did the whole Judgment Day Mysterio's Edge thing just way too drawn out.
Right.
Like, there kind of point where you had to get away from it. And I think putting Dominic in there was the right decision, because I think putting him with Finn and Rhea and Damien is a wonderful, like, he can learn big time from those three. But at the same time, like, they tried doing the psychological stuff with Ray way too much. It's like, it's good that he's on SmackDown now, but I think what they should have done is like what you said, like, you know, maybe if they did the draft like last month, like they were originally talking about, instead of doing it after Mania now, that probably would have been a better thing to do, to split them up and then have Dominic go into Judgment Day and then Rumble and stuff like that. You know, but again, it's one of those things where you kind of get, you know, it's a favorite word of the panel, everyone, shoehorn. You know, so.
I want to go back real fast to the question about the Usos and that whole
Jay and
Sammy. I think that there's been times where you could physically see, it's almost like watching a Pokemon evolve. There's certain times throughout the Usos' career where you go, oh yeah, they just hit that next level. Yeah. One of which being the whole rap battle with the New Day and that whole gimmick, the next level. The next one being, you know, where the I Quit with Roman, right? Yeah, it's right. That was such a touching moment. I think that now we're in the process of witnessing the next evolution, specifically of Jay, but of the Usos in general, as they continue to evolve and grow. We watch them, if you guys think about it, come in as kids and grow to be men. So we're watching, and it's I love it. I think it's brilliant.
And not only that, but like seeing, you know, when Sammy's going, it's like, I'm just trying to do what the tribal chief wants, and then Jay just goes, I don't give a damn what the tribal chief wants. And the look on Roman's face, and it's like, no, it's and like Sammy coming in, it's like, it's okay, he's just not been feeling oozy lately.
But I think even that exchange I thought was brilliant too, because you see that Sammy truly, the character-wise, truly wants what's best for the group, and the fact that when that comment was made, he was the first to come to his defense.
He could have thrown him under the bus and got rid of him.
But he did. He came to his defense. And it's like...
It's just, we're literally watching a masterpiece just unfold, like constantly with Jay and Sammy.
If they're going to turn that group apart, they need to do it after Jay and Sammy, like Jay has finally accepted Sammy. That's when it needs to happen.
Yeah, or Sammy needs to turn on them, which I think is... That's such it's a very juicy idea, but I don't think it's realistic.
Yeah.
I think there would have to be other factors involved, maybe other people involved, you know, that makes Sammy do the turn on the bloodline where.
That's just that's if you want the unpredictable twist.
Yeah.
Well, how long do you think it will be before we actually see a full-blown Kevin Owens involved in the mix?
I hope they just keep him away from it.
I honestly, at this rate right now, I would say wait until after WrestleMania.
So let me ask you this.
Just because we know what they want to do with Roman and Rock.
Right.
You know, it's like just
they can make that happen.
Yeah, just keep kind of Kevin away right now, and then get through Roman Rock, and then after WrestleMania, you can reintroduce Kevin into this stuff.
Fair. If there's one person that has not gone for the title yet, for that key in there, has not gone for the title with Roman Reigns, who's the one person that you would like to see him have a program with?
Ooh. Let me think about it.
Yeah.
And we let you guys answer that question too, if you want to answer that question.
Punisher Martinez.
Punisher Martinez.
Nice.
Damian Priest,
Oh, I love it.
Maybe like Shinsuke Nakamura, maybe?
So good at underdoing lives.
I know he's injured right now, but maybe Cody Rhodes.
Oh, that's not.
I have two names that I want to throw out that who have not done it, who have not held title. I mean, they've held NXT gold, but they have not held WWE gold. And that's Johnny Gargano and Tommaso Ciampa, but Ciampa's out injured right now. So those are two guys who I love watching wrestle.
I have one that I really want, and I know.
And I like Claudio to come back and just.
Oh, that'd be a big thing.
Oh God, that would be so good.
Because of watching him in TNA, and knowing how good of a worker he truly is, and he's coming back, I would love to see a Roman Bobby Roode feud.
Yeah,
and let
because
Bobby
they're gonna
Roode
put
be
Bobby on
Bobby Roode.
SmackDown. Yeah, go back to glorious Bobby Roode.
I go back, or go back to
Because
Beer
Glorious
Money.
Glorious Bobby never got over.
Yeah,
it.
Beer
Triple
Money
H doesn't
workers,
like
so-
Bobby Roode.
Yeah.
So.
But actually, I agree with Bobby Roode. I actually love that idea. I loved him when he was doing the whole glorious Bobby Roode in NXT and stuff like that. I agree with that a lot. And actually, I'm gonna throw this name out there because he's gonna become a free agent soon, probably by the end of this year, and that's Nick Aldis.
Really?
He has
He
put
just
it.
left.
Yeah, he's put in his notice that he wants to leave NWA, and he's been suspended for the duration of his contract.
Wow.
So that is a guy who I would actually like to see.
Alright, can we pivot back to AEW really fast?
Yes.
I, as a customer and a theater guy, love costumes and entrances, and that's what makes it for me. I am so head over heels in love as a wrestling fan with Dalton Castle. I think the boys and everything, the Peacock.
I got to see that live last month. It was
Just-
so fun.
Just watching it going, wow, like this is old school Randy Savage style entrances.
I'm going to tell you right now. I was at the AEW Dynamite anniversary show in DC, and then the Rampage Battle of the Belts 4, which was like 2 nights later in DC as well. And we got to see Dalton Castle and the boys wrestle both nights, and watching that entrance live is so spectacular.
Yes.
It's so fun to watch, and I actually, one thing I will give credit is like a lot of people, and I'm gonna throw this out there. I can't talk about the Acclaimed at work just because of scissoring. Because if you just mention that at work, and keep in mind, I work for a federal government contractor right outside Washington D.C. So imagine the conversation.
Like getting kids suspended from school in multiple decades.
I can't talk about it, but like talk about something that's so over is the Acclaimed and Max Caster with the raps and scissor me daddy ass. It's like I'm at the Dynamite with Mike Jones and Ben Taylor, not this Ben, another Ben. And like it's National Scissoring Day. We're literally like this doing the scissoring, like everyone's doing it in the crowd. It's like one of the funnest moments. Like they definitely have like those lightning in the bottle moments.
But I think that it's Billy. As dumb as that, Billy saw what, especially when we look at
Billy's
DX,
smart.
right? And part of DX's popularity, for you guys who don't know, most of the time wrestlers get a cut off of their merchandise. So if you're smart, you want to sell merchandise. And if you're super smart, you look at what Triple H and Shawn Michaels and the things that they did. So now you're looking at that and you're seeing how he's bringing that new age DX flair. It's no longer suck it, it's scissoring, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And so it's cool seeing that new.
Although I will say this is one of the big, outside of AEW using ADA sections for their production equipment, which is a massive problem, as you would know because Ben's in a wheelchair and stuff like that.
Yeah.
So, imagine doing that, you need an ADA section, it's not available to you. Merchandise booths at the shows are horrible.
Oh, yeah.
Really?
Yes, like they did not have any shirts for Moxley. They had a shirt for the Acclaim, but it wasn't the shirt that anybody wanted. It was like a blocked version of the Scissor Me Daddy ass shirt, but it wasn't the one that everyone wanted. I got this there, but like this wasn't the BCC shirt I wanted from the show. They had better shirts, and they didn't have any shirts on their channel. They had CM Punk t-shirts.
They got a lot.
Like I got rid of.
I mean,
Hey, I love who.
But the thing is though is that like they don't. Like, I remember in January of this year was the first time Hook wrestled live on television, and that was in DC. They did not have a single Hook shirt. Do what they told us? We're saving the Hook shirts for Cleveland.
Wow.
I'm not sold on the Hook, by the
Look,
way.
but the thing is though is that at that time, I know it's cooled off now, but at that time, Hook was literally the hottest
He was real hot.
thing. And you don't have a single shirt for the guy? And he's wrestling his first ever live televised match, and you're not gonna have any merch for him? And the merch is out. That's the thing. The merch was out at the time on the website. They just didn't bring it. And then you know, I remember the very first ever Dynamite, which was in Washington D.C. And we were there for that, yeah. We were there for that. They didn't have, the only thing that was close to an AEW DC shirt was SCU. They did not have a Dynamite debut t-shirt to commemorate the show. They did not have a program or anything. Like, WWE, 30th anniversary of Raw is coming up next year in January. You damn well know that they're gonna have merchandise out the wazoo promoting the 30th anniversary.
Every show like that.
But
Yeah,
in all fairness, they've had 25 plus years to perfect that.
Yes, but but also AEW jokingly is called the wrestling company run by a t-shirt company.
Right.
You know, so it's like they have all these shirts. We know they have all these things, so why can't they bring them out to the shows?
Let me ask you this question. Do you think that we are going to see a CM Punk in WWE in the next few years?
It depends on multiple factors. It depends on A, what he wants to do, B, if Triple H and his people want to bring him in, and also how long the pending non-compete is.
I think if he can get out of the AEW deal, I think I think he's super bitter about it, and he wants another big payday. And guess what? There's another big payday.
That's what I was thinking
There
too.
is another.
I think
And money talks, man. And there is a crap load of money.
And I
another
definitely,
CM Punk match.
but I definitely think, but one thing that Punk has said is that it has to come down to the creative. It has to make sense for him to want to do it.
Well, I think it makes sense
Like,
now because he's a
yeah,
heel.
Well, I understand that. But who do you put him up against in WWE? What, like, do you have him just go right up the Roman Reigns if the no compete? Like, he needs, if he's gonna have that big of a chip on his shoulder, and he's gonna be coming in as a heel or something like that, one, you know for a fact he's gonna wanna go after the main title. He's gonna want to main event WrestleMania, because that was the one thing he was
If they
denied.
can't get Rock, they should go for it. They should do it.
But again, it also comes down to the no compete clause.
Yeah.
At the end
CM
of
and
the day,
Nakamura would be nasty. That'd be an amazing match.
actually, I would love that.
Oh my god.
Going back to Hook, let's not forget that he is the son of Taz.
Yeah.
Mhm.
I think, you know what Hook
CM
needs?
Punk
Hook needs to
made
go
Hook.
on excursion.
Yeah.
You know, like, I'm a huge New Japan fan, and what they do is they develop their wrestlers, and when they're good enough to, like, actually start wrestling, they're like, nah, go somewhere else and get better, and come back when you're ready for the
Jay
major
White.
leagues.
Jay White,
Jay
is a
White
great-
did that,
Kenny Omega.
Well, that's
Red
what
Narita,
WWE's been doing for years as well.
But they do it in
Yeah.
NXT.
Yeah.
And that's very smart. And like that system works so well. Like I remember reading about like Bret Hart, like Bret's dad sent him to Japan for like a year and was like, no, go to Japan, learn to wrestle differently, come back a star, even in their like little organization that they had.
Yeah.
And it was so much different. And that's what somebody like Hook needs, or a few other people who are kind of coming up and are having issues like that.
I think with Hook, the biggest,
Austin Theory could use
yeah,
Yeah,
I think
too.
I think the biggest problem with Hook is that he's only done one independent booking, or he's about to do his first ever independent booking, and he needs to do more.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And that's kind of the hang up on him, is that he, you know, I don't know if it's that he's not willing to go out and do that,
You're good, buddy.
or he wants to stay in AEW and stick to that, but even then, he hasn't been used in a while.
Here's part of the problem. When you have someone who wins all the time, fans get sick of it eventually.
Yeah.
And there's only one person that it's ever worked for, sort of, which is Goldberg.
Yeah.
So I think that part of the problem when you have people like Hook who are coming in with so much of this build up and they're knocking people out in, seconds, you're almost killing the rest. Either you're gonna kill the rest of your roster by having them run through it, or
You mean what Jade Cargill's doing to the women's division right now?
Or you've got to give him that loss. You gotta give him that flaw. I love the fact that, looking at Jade, I think Jade is fantastic. You're coming in, you're this big bad person, but Jade now needs to go up against someone like a Britt Baker and lose.
But the thing is, though, is that like, I'm sorry.
Jade should ever lose.
Do you like Jade forever?
Forever. She's not even that good of a wrestler. Just let her keep winning. Who cares?
But
I just love her.
So I agree with the line you just said, that she's not a great wrestler. I agree, because like, here's the thing: at the last pay-per-view for All Out, it was All Out. They had Jade versus Athena. Athena carried Jade through that entire match. And it
Well,
was
she's
like,
also fantastic.
yeah, Athena is amazing. I love her wrestling, and it's like, it's stuff like that. It's like that match could have been on Rampage because because like that's what it looked like to me for me when it came to Jade. It's like, yeah, okay, you cosplayed as She-Hulk, but Athena carried you for the entire match.
But you know what? Here's the other thing. With Jade, and I promise I'll jump over to it in a second. But the other thing about Jade, though, that's so brilliant is this is the first time in wrestling history where we've seen a black female who's able to be big and masculine and dominant and not being attributed to the most masculine of her features, right?
Yeah.
Jade is coming in and she's speaking the language of a culture right now that is looking for representation. And so, and we're tired of the only black that we're seeing is they have to be hip hoppy in some way.
Yeah.
Every black group out there. So it's cool seeing her there. And then again with Athena as well. It's cool seeing the representation of two people who don't fit what society has said as the molds for us.
And she's just destroying Bow on Twitter every
Yes.
day.
Oh, it makes me so happy.
Did
So
you see when he said something about like money to her? And she's like, we play with your money. And I didn't realize I didn't realize I googled who she was married to. He's got what does he get? 2,000 hits in the major league. I was like, oh, that's. I never heard of this guy, but I know that if you had 2,000 hits in Major League Baseball, you got
make
about
some
$100
money.
million. So you're probably good.
Alright, so back to the point of like Hook going on like some sort of excursion or something like that. I couldn't help but think of like, over the summer with AEW, what they did with Konosuke Takeshita and what they did with it. Cause like I was like on board with that too. Like that match with Claudio, like that was like one of my favorite matches over the summer, of course.
Yeah.
And when he went back to Japan, I was pretty disappointed, and I wanted to come back. Like I want to see more of him because like
He's actually, I think he is coming back.
So here, I'll tell you what my thought is. I don't know if they've announced anything, but I think Takeshita is very good. Like he's like top 50 wrestlers in the world good. Maybe top 20 wrestlers in the world good. He's like 25 years old. He's been wrestling 40-minute main event title matches for 5 years, and he's like, he's extremely, like, he came in and a lot of people didn't realize who he was because he hasn't been in the States for a while, but I watch a lot of Japanese wrestling and I'm like, this dude is already better than everybody else on the roster. Like, he's so good. But I think he grew out of DDT. He's too big for their organization, and they had to let him go. But his agreement is like, okay, I'll come back and wrestle for DDT, but like you have to let me go and become a bigger star. And so I think this is the time of year that Japanese wrestling is really heating up around New Year's. I think once all their New Year stuff is done, once they have their big pay-per-views, he's going to come back, and he'll probably spend most of his time in the States from now on. But he's got to get his runs through in DDT this year.
And I'll throw this out there. New Japan just recently did their debut in Washington, D.C. back in May for Capital Collision. That was my first time. Like, I've seen Japanese wrestlers wrestle live before, but this was my first time seeing actual Japanese promotion, and like that blew my mind. Like how, just like the presentation, everything about it was just really good.
They treat it like a real sport. And you get into it like that.
Speaking on his subject on Japanese wrestling, what is your opinion on Nakamura versus the Great Muta?
I love it.
I think it's great.
So
great ending to a brilliant career.
I'm really conflicted because I'm gonna be in Japan over New Year's, and I don't know if I can make it to this match.
What do you mean you don't know?
I'm already going to 2 wrestling shows.
It's Muta's last match.
Oh,
you gotta go for us.
Oh my god.
You represent all of us.
I might be at Super Nintendo World that day in Osaka. It's too far away. Oh man, I don't know. I don't know if I can go. I will be at Wrestle Kingdom, and I'm trying to get tickets to New Year's Dash.
Do you know what?
I'm gonna say I love the fact that Shinsuke is taking on Great Muta. And actually, the last match that he's doing is the tag match where he's teaming up with Sting.
Okay.
That's the last match he's doing. Shinsuke's one of the last.
Yeah, he's doing a run of final
Yeah, I
matches.
think
It's really
He's
cool.
Ric Flairing it.
Absolutely.
I think Shinsuke is actually the last singles match
Okay.
for Great Muta, and I think it's great for two reasons. One, Muta's getting to wrestle somebody he wants to wrestle, and number two, it's showing a pivot and change of philosophy for WWE,
yeah.
which is a major,
Yeah.
major
Well,
thing.
I think it's, well, I don't necessarily think this is a change in philosophy. I think because I think there's a trade-off. Because I think what if his last match is in January, end of January, early February sometime? Well, what's like a few months after that is the Hall of Fame. So
Yeah.
I think that's the trade.
Yeah.
Is
Well,
that,
well, not only that,
yeah.
but also keep in mind, you have the whole Carl Anderson thing with the Never Openweight Championship
Yeah.
in New Japan as well right now, because he won that back in June, and they're doing the whole storyline between essentially of New Japan and WWE are essentially doing a storyline together, which is awesome. What's up, bud?
Okay, my sister forced me to say this. He wanted to say winter is cold.
Winter is cold.
Yeah,
It
that
is.
is-
It's
Well,
very
well,
wet for
AEW does,
everybody. And
AEW
it's
does
coming.
have, AEW does have winter is coming soon, so.
I went to the 2 years ago.
So, one of the things
Stage
that I loved in Impact that I thought could have been developed way more, and I feel like right now is a great time in AEW, is I would love to see a true World X Cup style thing, but not using necessarily the X Division, but because you have New Japan Pro Wrestling, you have AEW, you have AAA, you have these, let's do one where it is, you know, you send some AEW guys to New Japan and their rankings are kept, and you have this massive blow off where who wins, which team wins.
And
you
then
know?
that could be like a Forbidden Door.
Absolutely.
here.
And, sorry?
I think that's kind of what they were thinking for the All Atlantic title, but I also think that they kind of farted out.
Yeah, of course.
And it's got a stupid name.
Yeah. But I am kind of liking Orange Cassidy with the title because he's just giving everyone opportunities at it.
Oh my god.
Orange Cassidy is fantastic.
Yeah.
I think though that's also when you start looking at the characters, some of the characters that are coming out of AEW. I think that Hangman Page, whether you like him or you hate him, I think that he's going to end up leaving there and become a much bigger star. I think that Orange Cassidy's in a great position because I don't know if his gimmick would work in other promotions.
I don't think they give him the leeway to be
Right.
himself, but
I don't know, and even
Danhausen's in a way kind of losing that luster a little bit.
I mean, that's because he's one-dimensional.
Right.
He's good as like a side character, but like the more they have him.
Danhausen's future is not in wrestling.
No.
No.
No, I agree. I agree.
And
And I don't think he should ever, I don't think he should change. I absolutely don't think that.
Well, and I think that's kind of part of the problem because they're having him wrestle more now, and I think that's
He's good. He really is a good worker. Not saying he's the best. He's a good worker.
Oh no, but I think that's kind of the issue is that like everyone loves it when he does the whole like curse thing, and like I don't think people want to see him wrestle.
Right.
And when they see him wrestle, they're like, oh, now you're kind of like putting him out
You're
there,
really
and he's always losing.
Right.
And that's the other thing, he always loses. So how can you take him seriously when he's losing all these matches? And like, yeah, your curse ain't working.
Although, if they put him in a big name spot where we all expect him to lose and he goes over, the roof's gonna blow off the door.
Yeah, that's
The
definitely.
roof is gonna blow off.
What's up, bud? You have another one from the sister?
Yeah, she also wanted me to say that summer is hot.
True.
Oh,
True.
you don't have to say what's
It's all good.
What's
I
up,
got,
On it, right now.
I got two questions.
Yeah. fine.
MJF in WWE for
Not happening.
2024.
Nope, not happening.
He's already resigned.
Yeah, he's already resigned. So
It's all a gimmick. It's all a.
Yeah, it's all
It's
given.
all set.
Yeah, he re-signed an extension when
I also don't
when he
think.
came back.
I also don't think. I think he'd be stupid to go to WWE because I don't think
He wouldn't
I don't
have-
think it works the same there.
He wouldn't have the same leeway that he
Yeah.
does, because one of the interesting things is that we all know, like, you know, you've noticed that on AEW, they've curved down on like a lot of the cursing and stuff like that, so a lot of the guys aren't cursing as much on the mic. But they have that 10-second delay now strictly for MJF because they don't want him to change what he's doing. He's the only person who's getting that leeway, you know, for that.
Yeah.
And he won't get that in WWE. The funny thing is that WWE wants to go PG or TV-14 simply because the crowds keep chanting "Holy yes."
Yeah.
You know, that's the reason they want to go TV-14
I think-
because they can censor the wrestlers on the mic. They can't censor the fans.
I like the idea that MJF could leave, and they used that as storyline, but there's no way he's leaving, and I think he'd be
No.
real stupid too.
Agreed.
Real stupid too.
He won't get what he is getting now in WWE.
And like, he's, I don't know, he works, working for Tony Khan is,
It's the best move.
It's always good to have a billionaire friend.
And then Joe recently turned heel on Wardlow.
Oh yeah, Samoa Joe, that just happened on Wednesday night.
I
didn't see that. I was kind of
here.
watching a hockey game playing Among Us with some people.
I feel like Samoa Joe, like, he's basically done. Like, I don't think, I hate to say that because I love Joe, but I mean, it's not exciting. I don't think anybody is that interested in what's going on with Samoa Joe anymore.
What's that like?
What's your take between that whole match with Roman Reigns and the idiot Paul?
Logan Paul? Actually,
I
it was a
see
good
it, but I heard
match.
good things.
Yeah, I think Logan Paul.
He put in the work.
Yeah, I honestly think he's good. I think he has the potential to be a Miz. I know I use that phrase a lot. I don't
Well,
think
Miz and Dolph Ziggler are the two best examples of workers.
Absolutely.
You know?
And you look at people who have gone from horrible spots or should not have made it and have busted ass.
Actually,
I think he's great.
actually going back, with Logan Paul, I think Logan Paul, and this is what we were talking about last night. Logan Paul is more Miz, where Austin Theory is probably more Dolph Ziggler.
Yes, that is
Yeah.
yes, 100%.
Yeah. So Logan Paul. Like, here's the thing. Logan Paul is working with Drew Gulak, Shane Helms, Shawn Michaels. He's actually putting the time in. He actually cares. When he is getting paid to do this, and you're getting put up with Roman Reigns, it's put up or shut up, and he put up, and that's the key thing. Am I a Logan Paul fan? No, but I respect the fact that he put in the work and that he's going to continue to put in the work. Same with Bad Bunny, same with Stephen Amell. These are guys who love the business and put in the work.
I was not sold on Bad Bunny at all.
Really?
No, at first.
Okay.
At first, I was
I
not
was about to
sold.
say, heart attack moment.
And then started watching him in the ring, and I was like, oh, he can actually go.
Yeah.
He can actually
He was
go.
putting in the work. He was
Yes.
spending. He was living at the PC. I feel like it was just
He
crazy.
was training at the PC with Damian Priest and
That's
all the
awesome.
coaches there. You can see who puts in the effort, who actually cares.
And I think the Paul brothers, I don't think are very good people, and I think that there's a lot of issues there. But
That's odd.
but it's you at this point you can't say that they're not working their asses off. They're not good at what they do. Even they're doing circus fights and they're pro wrestling, but you stand in there for I don't know how many rounds with Floyd Mayweather,
He went the full 8 rounds.
yeah, and it's that's very few people can do that. I know he was a lot bigger,
Yeah.
but very few people. Floyd is the best, and realistically, he probably could have knocked him out at a few different times.
There's no money in the map.
But there's no money. Yeah, but at the same time, he still won and he did it, and then to go and have fight Anderson Silva even at his advanced age, and
Well, that was Jake Paul.
yeah, I'm saying them together because they're both really
Very
hard.
good, yeah.
They're both obviously very hard workers, but they end up surprising everybody with how good they are. And I think it's time to not be surprised anymore that they put their mind to shit and they actually get it done, and that they are good athletes. They're real athletes.
And that's the thing. It's like Logan Paul put his mind to it. He put himself with people who are going to steer him in the right direction, and that's the key thing right there. You put yourself with the right people. You steer yourself in the right direction. You're gonna amaze people who are gonna doubt you, and that's what Logan Paul did at Crown Jewel. And he even did it at SummerSlam when he took on Miz one-on-one.
Yeah.
So
It's like old school. It's like old school, like what pro wrestling was before it was pro wrestling, when it was supposed to be real fights.
Back in the
And
Carney days,
in the Carney days, and people just got excited about these matchups, and we're gonna see these two guys fight, and they're circus fights, and that's what they are, and there's nothing wrong with some circus fights.
Do you think that it's time for AEW to have a true developmental? We're not talking developmental.
not like AEW Dark
No,
or
we're talking about
Elevation.
a true developmental.
I don't think so.
I think they do. With the amount on that roster, and Michael and I were talking about last night, because Lance Archer, fantastic guy to to put with the local talent to really put them over in their local markets and to make them look good, even though he's gonna beat them, because he's gonna teach them stuff. Like, we know Dustin just came out and said he has a year left on his contract, and the big thing that he's been doing has been like coaching and stuff like that. Like, you can take Dustin, QT Marshall, and Lance Archer, and you can build a developmental system around those three guys. You know, with those three guys, you can legitimately build a developmental system, and then kind of take AEW Dark and Dark Elevation, how they do the tapings down in Florida, and kind of NXT that. In a way, I think that's what they should do, because they have so much talent that they need to. Their roster is like, you know, it's funny. Everyone goes after WWE and how big their roster is. Have you looked at AEW's roster? It's just as big now, if not possibly bigger than WWE's.
Yeah.
And WWE just announced 12 people for the new NXT class. So it's like, you know, it's like they just announced 12 more people, and AEW's right up there with them. So it's like you have so much untapped potential in there, like an Anthony Ogogo. Put him through like the developmental a little bit, like especially after how he got just like buried horribly with Cody.
I think he's done.
Yeah,
I think he's just done.
But the thing is,
he's got bigger fish.
But apparently there's talk about an AEW UK, and Anthony Ogogo is like, yeah, you know, that would work for him, because obviously with NXT UK going out and they're going to be rebranding it essentially NXT Europe, you know, like WWE is going to be doing that in more markets to kind of really grow that developmental system the way that Hunter wanted to do it. And AEW, don't do what WWE's doing, because again, they've been doing it for years, but AEW needs something to act as a developmental, to develop these younger talents, these people that they want to push. Like Jade, for her wrestling side of things, she has the presentation and everything else. The wrestling side, she could really, you know, use the developmental a little bit to help on the ring.
I just hate the UK portion, and the reason why is
seems like they're trying to chase WWE.
Well, no, it's just the UK, and I think this is part of the reason why NXT UK didn't do as well as they wanted it to. You're going into a place where there's already such a rich wrestling culture, and you're coming in. I'm saying this, not saying that it's a bad show, but you're bringing your quote unquote C show, and you're trying to make a C show NXT in UK, and it's like, that's not going to work, because I can go out to the locals and watch some of the best wrestling that you will see. If you've never seen British wrestling, go watch. It is hard. It's the closest I can say is it resembles the Japanese style in the hard hitting, with still having a lot of that good flair character work. And you believe that you're watching a fight oftentimes. So it's like, if AEW were to try to bring that there, I think it would fail, and it would almost fall the same way that the NXT did, because
I think the thing that really killed NXT UK was the pandemic, because they were actually putting out really good shows. If they had been able to do that takeover in Dublin, I think it would have just shot off even more on that takeover. But the pandemic came in and screwed everything up, and you got kind of like, and everyone ended up in this limbo. You know? And I think, you know, NXT UK had to be the casualty coming out of the pandemic, but you're going back with Europe, and it's not just going to be UK now, it's going to be Europe.
Right.
So you're going to be bringing in Czechia, you're going to be bringing in Sweden, Finland,
India,
you know, stuff like that, and it's really going to, they're going to do their own separate thing for India. You can't.
I saw that,
But
and that's one other thing too, is when you look at like this idea of NXT Europe, is it going to be truly only European nations, or are they going to do this thing where they bring in everything that's as close to Europe as possible and just wrap it up?
You never know what WWE does or doesn't know.
I think
we're gonna throw some Australia in there.
I think Hunter really wants it to be strictly European, and then India be India, Asia be Asia, you know, Africa be Africa, because they're looking for Omos and Apollo Crews that are currently in Nigeria, looking for that next, you know, wrestler to come out of Africa. So like, Hunter wants that diversity. He wants all these different styles, all these different, you know, cultures represented. And this is kind of his way of doing it. But unfortunately, we are on time. We're actually running over a little bit. So sorry. I mean, you run the con. You can tell us to keep going if you want.
I got
But real quick, Michael, where can the people find you on social media?
You guys can find me at TheRealMichael Mosley, MikalMosley, on all handles.
Okay, and then also, what other panels do you have this weekend, good sir?
I'm glad that you asked. I have Dumpster Fire Chat which is about to happen in 30 minutes.
This is why I had to call the time.
So, if you guys want to go, that's awesome. We talk about all the fun things that have ever happened to us, and you'll find out how I shaved in a parking lot with a rusted razor for a convention.
I got some crazy scoops of the last one.
Yeah, right? And then tomorrow at 12:30, I'm at Cosplay on a Budget, and the costume contest at 6:30. And on Sunday, I'm hosting Women in Comics and Cosplay, moderating, that at 10:30 in the morning. And then at 3 p.m., costume contest on Sunday as well.
All right. Ben, where can the people find you on social media?
So I'm at Ben Penrod _ on Twitter, as long as Twitter exists, we'll see. And then, I mean, I just follow, at Twin Cities Con on everything. We're on every platform as at Twin Cities Con. We've been doing a lot more on TikTok too lately, so check that out.
And then,
Sorry, go ahead.
and then you can find me on Twitter at the Lindenbaum75. You can find the AwesomeMania podcast over at txhthockey.com/x75productions. And then you'll be able to see me, and I got my long list right here. 11 a.m. tomorrow, I'll be doing comics and wrestling with Aubrey Sitterson and Dave Wheeler. Then at 12:30, I think I'm still secondary moderator.
I think you're going to be working on it, yeah.
Yeah, on the secondary moderator, will be helping out on the floor for the Q&A with Elijah Wood and Sean Astin. And then at 3:30 p.m., I'm going to be moderating the Bulk and Skull Q&A session. That is going to be a riot. I was already talking to those guys today, and just keep them away from pies, please. There's a story to this. And then at 5 p.m. tomorrow in room 200B, Ben and I will be together again for Nerd Out with Nerd Street, where we talk about.
We'll talk about the con.
Yeah, we'll talk about the con. You can, if you want to learn how these things work,
yeah,
come and ask the questions.
Just got done.
And then Sunday in this room at 10:30 a.m., I'm doing TXHT live from the state of hockey. It's a hockey panel at a convention. I am. You want to come? You want to hang out?
Yeah, I know a lot about hockey.
I mean, I've only been playing it for 30 years. I'm still surprised I have all my teeth, But, so yeah, talk hockey with me, and then I'm going to be asking questions because I want to know about Excel Energy Center because I've never been there before. And then at 1:30 p.m. in the main events at room 101, I'll be moderating the Johnny Young Bosch Talks Anime and Power Rangers. So,
Nice.
3 down, 6 to go. So
All right, thanks
with
a lot,
that,
guys.
thank you so much and enjoy the rest of your con, everyone.
Thank you.
Thank you.